Sonic, the heart of your system.
I'm Leo Waldup with Kit Guru, here with LIAN Li at Computex 2019, my very final booth tour of the show. I've been gagging to get to LIAN Li, because I know they've got loads of good stuff, including Odyssey X. Now this is Odyssey X Dynamic because it's arranged in this form factor, however there's also a performance mode. So it's the same chassis but you can rotate it. The idea is that performance mode is designed for thick radiators, one at the front, one at the side, and then dynamic mode is more about the visual aspect of the thing. And that, I have to, good grief, how tall is that reservoir? I've literally never seen a tube reservoir that tall before. Beyond that, we don't know anything yet about pricing of this brand new chassis. I mean, I'm sure it's not going to be cheap. Third time of trying, and I've removed the panel, very nearly dropped the entire blessed thing. So what have we got? We've got a small rad at the top, oddly enough, massive reservoir at the front, EK hardware throughout by the look of it, and it looks like, yeah, just a little DDC down the bottom, along with a full ATX power supply. So it's all the usual parts in the usual positions with a lot of RGB going on. This, in this configuration, it's a tall chassis. With the chassis rotated in performance mode, the cooling's at the front, including this jaunty reservoir, which is significantly smaller than we saw before. So plenty of space for cooling, but also an awful lot of fans in there. I'm seeing 6 120s by eye, and that looks to me to be a new vector graphics block on the CPU. I might be wrong, don't hold me to it. I'm almost disappointed to report the fact it has an air-cooled graphics card. O11 is becoming a classic case, which is impressive for something that's so new. It's a relatively cheap case. However, this O11D XL, which is a bigger and slightly better version, which it basically has the same specifications as O11, so you're still talking 360 radiators potentially in the Air version. You can't put a rad in the front of this one, but you can put a rad in the roof and a rad in the side on this, so two 360s. And it's now got support for eATX motherboard, but the point really is you've got more room around the radiators. When I did that Gigabyte Waterforce build, the radiators were very, very close for comfort. This is basically stretched out, giving you some room literally to breathe. And in this build, everything's slotted in with room to spare. Here we have a bare O11D XL, and this shows one of the features, which is a snap-out radiator tray. So you take the tray out, you put your radiator on, much like a motherboard tray. There you go, easy peasy, relatively speaking. Obviously, once it's in place and the tubing's in place, that's then locked down. But for installation, it doesn't get much easier than that. And there's a lot of room in this chassis. LAN Cool 2's got a neat feature. Our man is just going to pull off the front panel. RGB goes out because of the connector, and he's now going to pull out the radiator. Look at that, how easy is that? Absolutely terrific. So again, it's a variant on the motherboard tray. I like that. Once we've actually got to that stage, you can see the chassis itself is fairly conventional, and I like the fact they're able to demo this 360 radiator in the removable tray. Obviously it's not connected, and we have a 240 in the roof with more cooling on the power supply shroud. So that is neat. I don't have a solid price on LAN Cool 2, but they seem to be talking around about the £90, £100 mark. Enthusiast level and not overly expensive. O11 Dynamic, you can now get a distro block, and it's been designed by EK. So here we are, walking around the LIAN Li booth, and we arrive at the O11 with the distro plate by EKWB, and who do we see apart from Joe Roby? So Joe, talk us through it.
So actually with this distro plate, it's quite different from the Fluid Gaming one we have, you've seen earlier in a SI build. This one's actually mounted on the back core, and the reason for that is we want to continue the ethos of the dynamic case and provide a dynamic manifold. So you can configure it with 1 or 2 graphics cards, you can configure it with 1 or 2 radiators, and of course always the CPU block. This one's equipped with a DDC, so if you should put 2 radiators, 3 high restrictive blocks, no problems at all. So we have one unused water passage here, and that's if you should wish to use 2 radiators. The top tube instead loops into there, loops out, and then you can see an additional port at the bottom to return to the reservoir at the bottom instead of the top.
Absolutely excellent. And this is going to be sold as an accessory to LIAN Li, to the LIAN Li 011 rather.
Yeah, correct. So we're supplying to EK, and we're supplying to LIAN Li, and they will be able to distribute the block, and also we will be also through our standard EK channels.
Excellent. Many thanks. What an absolute snap it was walking into you. Very handy.
No problem.
We've got some interesting kit here. We have the Galahad 240 all-in-one cooler, where there are 2 aspects to this. The first is the pump has been moved off the body. That's an anti-Ace Tech litigation thing. So the pump is in there. Apparently it has more blades than the impeller that you get in the Ace Tech cooler. It's something like 7 versus 6. And you can see there the connections for electronic control, which means that this is the block, and there's a little thing there. Now we saw with Deep Cool they were talking about being able to mod your pump block there. So here we have magnetic cover. Obviously you can either leave it open for the RGB, or you can snap on your own modded cover should you wish. That's nifty, and we can understand that's re-engineering the AIO, and that's obviously a detail change. But here we have some very interesting concept fans. They're saying these fans have been 3D printed, and if I do this without breaking anything too badly, look at that. Snap it off, no wires. It's all down to those contact pins there. They handle both PWM and RGB. The fan's now stopped. You can daisy chain your fans together. And if I put that back on, so our man's now going to reach in there because he's got 2 hands, and he's going to snap it back together. And look at that. A live demo of how it works. Interesting stuff. I mean, it's 3D printed, it's obviously prototype kit. Nonetheless, the very idea is interesting to see, and doing away with cables, we approve of that. It's interesting to see the way that LIAN Li is working so closely with De Bauer, and the products coming off the production line are definitely aimed at the enthusiast rather than the budget end of the scale. I like what I'm seeing a great deal. The 011 XL in particular, that is undeniably going to be a good case. Odyssey remains to be seen. We have to look at that one when we get our hands on it. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up, click the bell button, return to Kit Guru for more coverage. I'm Leo Waldock, this is LIAN Li at Computex 2019.